Welcome to Hearts and Stripes, your one-stop shop for all things military marriage. I hope our discussions and interviews equip you with the tools to start or grow a beautiful marriage as we address the benefits and challenges of MILF marriage. I believe life's most precious moments are worth celebrating, so I'll help you design your marriage blueprint in alignment with your core values. Thank you for joining us, and remember to rate, subscribe, and review. Let's do this. Welcome to Hearts and Stripes. It is your girl Bree here with another episode. I know if you are one of our regular listeners, you are probably thinking it is not the 1st or the 15th. No, it's not. As I mentioned previously, we will be doing these episodes released weekly now, guys. Weekly. You asked for it, and we are showing up for you, and we will continue to be more present with our podcast to ensure that, especially during a time like this, that your relationships are strong and sustainable, and that you are having a great military marriage. So I just wanted to take a second and just applaud our armed forces leadership. I don't know about you, but if you have seen the conversations that are being had by, especially I'll speak for Air Force, our Air Force leadership, our Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, and just the leadership that I've seen with having these tough conversations, I so applaud them for understanding that this is not a political issue, that the discussions around race and human rights and civil rights, it's a much needed conversation, and they're opening these doors in a way that I'm just really proud to see. If you haven't noticed, the Marine Corps, even they have banned the Confederate flag. These are some huge muscle movements in the right direction. And I am so excited that our armed forces are leading the way in these discussions regarding race. So I am very pleased to have the opportunity to introduce to you and let you in on the conversation that I had with Jennifer Brantley. She is amazing. She's an attorney, an entrepreneur, and an Air Force spouse of a chaplain. So I am excited for the value that she brings to Hearts and Stripes in our conversation. She has her podcast also that I wanted to shout out and highlight, that she has launched, the DiScardIt podcast. Please check her out, the DiScardIt podcast. You will want to follow her and listen to more from her. You may know her, though, as the woman behind More Than a Mrs. or the FindMe Mobile app. Jennifer just has a beautiful spirit, and she speaks a lot about assessing that foundation, being secure in yourself as an individual, and just being conscious of the people that you have around your marriage, being intentional about loving the person that you are in relationship with. And I know you will find huge value in our discussion. So I'm going to jump right into it. Here's our conversation with Jennifer Brantley. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hearts and Stripes. I have a very special heart-to-heart to share with you today. This is my sister friend. I have been following her on Instagram for some time, and I'm super excited for you to hear from her, the advice, and just some of the things that she is working on to help equip and give resources to this community. I have none other than the lovely Jennifer Brantley. How are you? Welcome to Hearts and Stripes.
Hello. Thank you. I'm well, and I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, so thank you again for just joining us. Like I mentioned a little bit, like I've been following you on Instagram for a little bit, and oftentimes you be hitting those scrolls, and I love that you took the time and you just did a reintroduction of yourself, and I was like, oh yes, Dress, hold up.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and say and check her out. And I was so impressed by you and what you have going on. But if you could just share with everybody a little bit about yourself, your marriage, and just kind of your military life that you've experienced.
Yeah, most definitely. So, Jennifer Brantley, I am actually an attorney by trade. I'm a military spouse. I like to begin with what I do before I say military spouse.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
because I have to keep my own person, my own self, my identity at the forefront. So that's, what I do. And in conjunction with that, I have a blog called More Than a Mrs. that kind of expands on that idea that you are so much more than the titles that people put on you. So mil spouse, dependent, dependa, whatever they want to call you, you're more.
Yes.
So I am actually married to a chaplain. So he's an Air Force chaplain.
Yeah, go Air Force.
Go Air Force. Prior to commissioning, though, he was a youth pastor.
Nice.
So, yeah, he's been kind of in that field for a very long time. And it's definitely been something that's influenced our marriage. We are a young married couple, not in terms of age. We kind of joined this life a little bit later than most who join the military.
But that's good. That's good.
It is, I think it helps. It helps for one to make your marriage a little bit stronger.
Yes.
Because you have that maturity going in. But we've only been married for 3 years. But nice. I claim every second of that 3. And in the military, just about as long. So he joined right around the time that we got married.
That is awesome.
So, yeah.
And now you are currently stationed overseas in Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in England right now, not too far from London, which has been wonderful up until recent events. But...
Right. So this is COVID-19. We're working through, guys. So, yeah, it is a challenge. We're not going to linger on the bad. I want to highlight the good, which is how you started off by I just love how you introduce yourself. Me being a civil engineer background, and I really love the concept that you share in More Than a Mrs., which is you have to be an individual first. And I really love that concept that you are driving home via the blog, just because a lot of times people can lose themselves in their marriages if they don't know who they are and whose they are. For those who want to go with me.
Yes. Let's go there.
When you don't have that perspective of who you are as an individual, it really hurts the marriage, because that old saying where people say, well, this half and this half makes a whole. No, you have to go into your marriage as a whole person. So Can you share a little bit about More Than a Mrs. and just your perspective of what that looks like and how we can kind of own that?
Right. Yeah. Well, I have always been a fiercely independent person. And going into marriage, first and foremost, I just had this thought that just exactly what you said. You do not want to get lost in another person. You don't want to idolize another person, another human, because they are human. They'll make mistakes. Even chaplains, make mistakes and are not perfect. So I just felt that it was super important to maintain who you are. And then once he entered the military, I was initially working for a law firm. I was a senior attorney, but I was unhappy. But I was also comfortable in where I was, didn't want to move. And he saw it as an opportunity to, move me out of an unhappy situation and potentially put me somewhere else. But as we know, and you having a civil engineer background, with being in the military comes a lot of PCSs, comes a lot of moves. And if you are a professional, that means that you have to, you have to be able to reinvent yourself with every single move, basically. And that's has been part of maintaining my identity. And as we made those moves, as we PCSed, and I kind of had to reinvent myself and what I did, I thought, maybe there are some other spouses out there who are going through this very same thing, or who have gone through it. They're, veteran spouses, have been in the game for a while and know the ropes, kind of know how to maintain their identity. And so More Than a Mrs. initially started as a blog. So a way to highlight those spouses who, first of all, you don't have to be a professional to be more than a Mrs. or a Mr., but who are following their dreams, who refuse to let other people define who they are, or to tell them, oh, you're just a military spouse, or to ignore them at, military events because they're perceived as an extension of their active duty member.
Mm-hmm.
And that just isn't the case. So the blog highlights those people. We have a spotlight feature called Mule Spouse on a Mission that is dedicated to that. I post articles that talk about how to pursue your passion, how to reinvent yourself, because really every PCS is the chance to do that.
Yes, I love that. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that because it's all about perspective, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can look at a PCS as it's going to be good or bad, or you can look at it
Mm-hmm.
as purely an opportunity to reinvent yourself, to stretch yourself.
Yes.
And I can completely relate to that as we will be moving to Minot, North Dakota.
Ooh.
So, yeah, so I'm here in lovely Shreveport, Barksdale. It is the South, it is warm, and I am going to the complete opposite.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
delivered from snow a long time ago when I left Jersey, and everybody laughs at me. They're like, "Brie, you act like snow is just the worst thing ever." It's not. I just don't want to
Uh-huh.
shovel, y'all. That's
Right.
it.
It's hard.
It is hard. So I
Yeah.
love that perspective because I do share that. I see it as an opportunity. I'm actually really excited about it because I hear great things about the community. I personally don't believe that there is a bad assignment just because
Oh,
the
no.
value in it is always the people. So I'm super excited to reinvent myself a little bit when I go that
Mm-hmm.
way and then kind of expand my territory too. I think people miss out on those opportunities. But since I am PCSing, I wanted to bring up not only do you have more than a Mrs., but you also have FindMe Mobile. So share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So FindMe Mobile was actually born as an extension of More Than a Mrs. So that started as a blog. And then once we arrived here in England, I extended it to host local groups.
Mm-hmm.
And in hosting those groups, we would have panel sessions. We would do things like speed friendship, which is kind of like speed dating, but you're making friends as you go.
I love
Um,
it.
it was so much fun.
Yeah.
But, and meeting these other women and men who came to the events, it was interesting that we all kind of had the same story, which is, I couldn't find this or I couldn't find that when I arrived at my new duty station. You go
Mm.
on Facebook and you join these male spouse groups, and that's one of the first things that you see are people asking, well, where's the best neighborhood? Where can I, buy such and such, or what's the
Right.
best restaurant to go to? So Find Me Mobile developed once we learned that we would be moving here. And I'm like, England, okay, England. I need
Mm-hmm.
someone to do my hair. I don't feel comfortable until I know who's going to do my hair or where I'll grocery shop. So I created this mobile directory, which is what Find Me Mobile is,
Mm-hmm.
that actually connects male spouses, active duty members, and veterans who live near a military installation to community recommended businesses.
Right.
So every business in the directory has been recommended by a member of the community. There's a basic social network to kind of bring us together and allow us to have a platform to talk to each other. Um, what I love about it is that it picks up where you are currently.
Mm-hmm.
So it will show places that are near you now. And you can also look, if you know where you'll be PCSing to, you can look in advance and kind of plan. Okay, at least I know when we move to Minot that I can go here to get
Right.
groceries,
Right. Mm-hmm. And I
So,
absolutely
yeah.
love that your framework is very user friendly. I was on and kind of testing some things out. And what I would encourage everyone who is listening to go over and download the app. It is free to download and be a part of it. I love the fact
Yeah.
that you have the opportunity to, if there is a place maybe in your local area that you would expect to see it on the app, and you don't
Hmm.
see it, you have the opportunity to add that. So I know for sure when before I leave Barksdale, let's start there. I'm going to add some locations for Barksdale, and then when I go to Minot, I'll
Yes.
be able to add some places in Minot because let's be clear, I am a minority. I am a woman of color. I'm not sure what braid shops I'm going to find in Minot. So I'm just saying I will be placing that up there for anyone
Yes.
who goes up there after me. You're welcome. I'm going to add that.
Tell them in advance.
So
That's right.
yes, exactly. And that's what it's all about because each spouse, we're all looking for something a little different. We're all needing those resources to kind of make that move and that transition a little easier. And I love that FindMe Mobile does that. And the thing that I also want to highlight is when you feel comfortable in your move, that lessens the stress off of your marriage. Because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like oftentimes spouses who are not in good communication with the active
Yes.
duty member, they heavily rely on them to provide them information on the next move or what's there or what's going on. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they don't get that. So they're left feeling unfulfilled. That can put a strain on your relationship. So
Absolutely.
I encourage everybody to use Find Me Mobile as a means of looking into it for yourself. Get excited for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, start thinking of ways how you can reinvent yourself, going back to that original point, that you finding your own path in this
Yes.
military journey. Even though you're not the active duty member, you know, you still are forging ahead to some new
Mm-hmm.
things, and you're stretching yourself and you're learning and you're growing, and your growth will help the growth of your relationship.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. And I love what you said just now about how we often rely on our active duty member to kind of find our place,
Mm-hmm.
um, and how it can put a strain on your marriage if that communication is not there. And I've seen that so much, especially being a chaplain's wife, how it impacts spouses, how not just, their marriage, but just being in a new place can create kind of depression within so many
Yeah.
people. And then that in turn flows over and influences the marriage because you're home and your active duty member comes home and you're projecting onto them. And so that's something that you absolutely want to avoid happening if you can.
Yeah. So, Jennifer, I would love to hear a little bit more about your experience as a chaplain spouse, even how you maybe any resources or just how you walk through your marriage, because I could even see it's amazing what our chaplains do for our community, but I know it has to take a toll even on
Oh,
their
yeah.
homes and their relationships.
Yeah, most definitely. So I think it is a very unique thing to be married to a chaplain because so often you see them going in, they're counseling couples. My husband
Mm-hmm.
in particular always seems to be counseling couples in lieu of individuals, and they're often so young. And I think one of the most interesting things though is that he loves what he does. He
Yeah.
loves connecting with people. He loves helping people strengthen their marriage and bring them back together. But it's exhausting. It does take a toll on him. And
Mm-hmm.
so when he comes home, I kind of get the brunt of that. I have had to learn how to allow him to decompress,
Yeah.
to allow him to have his silent time. And it's so easy, when you're separated during the day and then you come together in the afternoon to want to spend time together. It's
Mm-hmm.
normal. Um, but I have just had to learn how to give him that space. There have been times when previously it seemed as though he didn't have a lot left to give to
Mm-hmm.
us, and he just really, really needed that
And
quiet
that's
time.
real. That's a real
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It doesn't detract from what he does or, how much he loves what he does. But we've just had to kind of find our own way. And one of the ways that we have done that is we've started adopting some of these young couples.
Oh, nice.
So that's a thing too. If you happen to run into a good chaplain and you um, really make a connection with him and his wife, we do that. We bring you into our home. We have dinner with these couples. We have conversations with them as long as they're comfortable with it. Just about marriage,
That's
and what it
awesome.
takes. Yeah, and it's been really enlightening for us too.
That's good. I could definitely see both sides benefiting. Just because I am a firm believer that in community you can really grow and strengthen your relationships, especially when you and the other couple are both working towards you know seeing the end
Mm,
goal, which to me the end goal is death
mm-hmm.
do us part. So like
Absolutely.
if everybody is working towards that same common goal, and they're agreeing in that, and they're fellowshipping and spending just doing life, that is a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. And it's just reassuring, which let me foot stomp this as well. If you are around couples that are not racing towards the death do us part and they just think, oh, we just gonna see how it happens, that will also impact your marriage. So you need to be kind of cognizant
intentional.
and yes, and intentional about the company that you are keeping. So that's an extra one. Y'all just got that one for free. That I'm just
take that nugget,
yeah,
put it
just
in your
take
pocket.
it just for later. Just hold on to it. But I know you are a wealth of wisdom. You said that you guys are a mature couple. What is some marriage advice that you could give to our military married couples?
So I think one of the first things would be something that I alluded to earlier, which is to be forgiving. Not only be able to forgive your spouse for the mistakes that they make, but be willing to forgive yourself.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, just acknowledge that you're both human. Mistakes will be made. Learn to move on and learn to really see each other and who you are, and who the other person is, rather. So that would be one thing. I think another thing would be kind of a cliche, but I think we've said it earlier, communicate. Everything that
Y'all
we
know I
do
love the
sends a
C
message.
word.
You love communicate. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
everything we do sends a message, from your body language to your tone,
Very
to the
good.
things
Yep.
that you do around the house. Be cognizant of your own body and what messages you're sending just in everyday interaction with each other. And then be intentional about communicating and having conversations that need to be had versus holding things inside and letting them build up. Learn to address it then and there, but learn, just how to do it in a productive manner.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that would be definitely another thing. I don't know, I'm sure you're familiar with the 5 love languages,
I
but
love the 5 love languages. Yes.
love it, love it. And there's a military edition, which is
Yes.
something, yes, that is so helpful for military couples. And my husband, gives out free copies to people who come into his office because it's just that good. But it's only good if you put it into practice. So learn each other's love language and then demonstrate it, and just watch how things change and how your marriage strengthens because you're loving your partner how they need to be loved, and vice versa.
I love how you said
Yeah,
that. Learning, not just learning it, but demonstrating it. Because you can know
absolutely.
something all day long, but if you're not
Mm-hmm.
putting it into practice, then what good is that knowledge? So that is
Absolutely
awesome.
not. Yep. Yep. And then finally, I guess I would say just keep God first. I have to put that in there.
Go ahead.
But yeah, if you are a believer, you have to keep God at the center of your life. Again, don't idolize each other. You're human. It's inevitable that mistakes will happen. It's inevitable that your partner will fail you. They'll do something you don't like. They won't do something you want them to do. But God does not fail. He never fails us. And when you feel that you don't have strength, that's the time that you turn and look to Him, and look to Him to bolster not only yourself, but your marriage, and to bring it where it needs to be.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And for those out there, you guys know I am a believer. If you may not be, I think it is still something that is worth considering, and just thinking of how successful marriages flourish. These points: to be forgiving, to communicate, using those 5 love languages, learning and demonstrating them, and then also to keep God first. That is how you see success in your marriage. And I'm so glad that you were able to take the time, Jennifer, to share that with us.
Absolutely.
This podcast is sponsored by B. Carroll Events for wedding and event planning and design. Okay, everyone, you know what time it is. It is time to EYS Earn Your Stripes. And what I want you to do is to download FindMe Mobile. So what we're going to do with this app is we are going to share some experiences with other military married couples. What you'll do, you'll look to see if your favorite places to eat, do date night, and get pampered are on that app. If they are not, go ahead and add them to the app. What this does, it adds value not only to the app, but to other couples so that they can go there and find resources that have been vetted and recommended from you, other trusted military married couples. I mean, it's simple, it's easy. Go ahead, EYS. And once you've completed that, head over to our Instagram, Be Carol Events, and share and tag the companies or services that you recommended in the app. EYS. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to rate, subscribe, and review. This is Hearts and Stripes. We are the few, the proud, that aim high and are forged by love. Always ready, always there. We are Mill Marriage Strong.